Several factors could be at play when a remote ceiling fan light is not functioning correctly. One possibility is a power surge. A surge can inflict damage on both the remote controls or the receiver units that are inside the fans themselves. Another potential cause is a defective control unit. It is conceivable that either the remote controls or the light receivers are faulty, which would prevent the lights from responding as they should. A wiring issue is also something to consider. It's important to inspect the wiring that connects the remote controls and the fans to see if any of the wires are loose or damaged in any way. Another simple thing to check is the batteries. Replace the batteries in both remote controls to ensure that they have sufficient power to operate correctly. Frequency interference might also be a factor. Ensure that there are no other devices nearby that could be interfering with the remote control signals. To further troubleshoot the issue, consider these steps. Firstly, turn off the power to the fans and check for any loose wires or any visible damage to the fan or the wiring. Secondly, test the remote controls. Try using the remote controls on other fans or appliances to check if they are working properly with those devices. Thirdly, if you have another compatible fan, try swapping the remote control and light receiver unit between the two fans to eliminate the possibility of a faulty component in one of the fans. And fourthly, if the troubleshooting steps outlined above do not resolve the issue, then contact the Hunter Fan Company customer support for further assistance. It is worth noting that it is highly unlikely that both fans and their remote controls would fail simultaneously due to mere coincidence. Therefore, the issue is more likely to be caused by some external factor, such as a power surge or defective component that affects both fans. When investigating a ceiling fan light malfunction, it's crucial to methodically examine each of these potential causes, beginning with the most straightforward solutions such as battery replacement and wiring checks, before proceeding to more complex diagnostics involving component swapping or professional assistance. Power surges can indeed wreak havoc on electronic devices, and ceiling fan remote systems are not immune. These surges, which are sudden spikes in electrical voltage, can overwhelm the delicate circuitry within the remotes and receivers, leading to various malfunctions, including the inability to control the light fixture. In some cases, a surge might cause immediate and complete failure, while in others, it may gradually degrade the components over time, leading to intermittent or unreliable operation. To mitigate the risk of surge-related damage, consider installing surge protectors in the electrical circuits that power your ceiling fans. These devices can help to absorb excess voltage and prevent it from reaching the fan's sensitive electronics. Furthermore, during periods of severe weather or electrical storms, it's wise to disconnect your ceiling fans and other valuable electronics from the power supply to safeguard them against potential surges. Defective control units, whether they are the handheld remotes or the receivers located within the fan housing, are another common culprit behind ceiling fan light issues. These units are responsible for interpreting the signals sent from the remote and translating them into commands that control the fan's motor and light fixture. Over time, or due to manufacturing defects, these control units can become faulty, leading to erratic behavior or complete failure. If you suspect that a control unit is to blame, there are a few steps you can take to diagnose the problem. Firstly, try replacing the batteries in the remote to rule out a simple power issue. If that doesn't work, you can attempt to reprogram the remote or receiver according to the manufacturer's instructions. In some cases, a simple reset can restore normal operation. However, if the problem persists, you may need to replace the defective control unit altogether. When purchasing a replacement, be sure to choose a model that is compatible with your specific ceiling fan. Wiring issues, though often overlooked, can also cause problems with ceiling fan lights. Loose connections, frayed wires, or damaged insulation can disrupt the flow of electricity to the light fixture, resulting in dimming, flickering, or complete failure. To inspect the wiring, first turn off the power to the ceiling fan at the circuit breaker. Then carefully remove the fan's housing to expose the wiring connections. Check for any loose wires or corroded terminals and tighten or replace them as needed. Also, inspect the wires themselves for any signs of damage such as cuts, abrasions, or melted insulation. If you find any damaged wires, they should be replaced by a qualified electrician. Battery issues are often the simplest and most easily overlooked cause of ceiling fan light problems. As the batteries in the remote control weaken, they may not be able to transmit a strong enough signal to the receiver in the fan, resulting in unreliable operation or complete failure. To ensure that the batteries are not the issue, replace them with a fresh set of high-quality batteries. Be sure to use the correct type of battery specified by the remote control manufacturer. It's also a good idea to clean the battery contacts in the remote with a cotton swab and some rubbing alcohol to remove any corrosion or debris that may be interfering with the connection. Frequency interference can also disrupt the communication between the remote control and the ceiling fan receiver. Many electronic devices, such as cordless phones, Wi-Fi routers, and microwave ovens, emit radio frequencies that can interfere with the signals used by ceiling fan remotes. To minimize interference, try moving these devices away from the ceiling fan or using a different channel on your Wi-Fi router. You can also try repositioning the ceiling fan receiver or the remote control to improve the signal strength. In some cases, switching to a different type of remote control system, such as one that uses infrared signals instead of radio frequencies, may help to eliminate interference issues. When troubleshooting ceiling fan light problems, it's essential to follow a systematic approach to identify the root cause of the issue. Start by checking the simplest and most obvious solutions, such as battery replacement and wiring inspections, before moving on to more complex diagnostics involving component swapping or professional assistance. If you're not comfortable working with electrical wiring, it's always best to consult a qualified electrician. Before performing any troubleshooting steps, always turn off the power to the ceiling fan at the circuit breaker to avoid the risk of electric shock. Once the power is off, you can begin by visually inspecting the fan for any obvious signs of damage, such as broken blades, loose screws, or frayed wires. Next, check the wiring connections to ensure that they are secure and properly insulated. If you find any loose connections, tighten them with a screwdriver. If you find any damaged wires, they should be replaced by a qualified electrician. After inspecting the wiring, test the remote control by pressing the buttons and observing whether the fan responds accordingly. If the remote control doesn't seem to be working, try replacing the batteries with a fresh set. If that doesn't solve the problem, you may need to reprogram the remote or replace it altogether. If the fan still doesn't work after checking the wiring and the remote control, the problem may be with the receiver unit inside the fan. This unit is responsible for receiving the signals from the remote and translating them into commands that control the fan's motor and light fixture. If you suspect that the receiver unit is faulty, you can try replacing it with a new one. However, this is a more complex repair that may require the assistance of a qualified electrician. In addition to these basic troubleshooting steps, there are a few other things you can try to resolve ceiling fan light problems. For example, you can try cleaning the light fixture and the fan blades to remove any dust or debris that may be interfering with the operation of the fan. You can also try lubricating the fan's motor with a few drops of light oil to reduce friction and improve performance. If you've tried all of these troubleshooting steps and the fan still doesn't work, it may be time to call in a professional electrician. An electrician can diagnose the problem and make the necessary repairs to get your ceiling fan working properly again. When dealing with electrical issues, it's always best to err on the side of caution and seek professional assistance if you are not comfortable performing the repairs yourself. Electricity can be dangerous, and improper repairs can lead to electric shock or fire. By following these troubleshooting steps and taking the necessary precautions, you can often resolve ceiling fan light problems quickly and easily. However, if you're not comfortable working with electrical wiring, it's always best to consult a qualified electrician. Remember to prioritize safety and take the necessary precautions to avoid electric shock or other hazards. Regular maintenance, such as cleaning the fan blades and lubricating the motor, can help to prevent problems and extend the lifespan of your ceiling fan. Also, consider installing surge protectors to protect your fan and other electronic devices from power surges. If you are considering replacing the ceiling fan and light fixture, make sure that the replacement is compatible with your ceiling and electrical wiring. Newer ceiling fans may have additional safety features, such as a safety cable that attaches the fan to the ceiling joists, which can prevent the fan from falling in the event of a failure. Be sure to follow the manufacturer's instructions carefully when installing a new ceiling fan. If you're not comfortable with the installation process, it's always best to hire a qualified electrician to do the job. By taking these steps, you can ensure that your ceiling fan is safe, reliable, and provides years of trouble-free operation. Furthermore, always verify the voltage of the replacement components to make sure they will work with your setup. Generally, homes in the United States utilize 120 volts alternating current. However, commercial facilities may use 208 volts, 277 volts, or 480 volts. If you come across any unfamiliar electrical terms, consult a qualified electrician. It is not worth risking injury or death. Always be safe when working with electricity.